Hello and welcome to Blytheray Business News, where today I'm joined by Tim Livesey, a regular visitor on the show. Tim, as you may remember, is Chief Executive of Oriole. Oriole listed on the AIM market in London, a ticker of ORR, and a market capitalisation hovering around £5 million sterling. Tim, welcome back. There's been a series of positive announcements in the recent times. You've had some research and development, a whole bunch of things. I think that's produced roughly, about £370,000 coming into the company. Can you give us a breakdown of that sum and give an explanation, please?
Certainly, Tim. Well, it's good to be back and good to see you again. We've got a number of different pieces to this financial puzzle. We had the R&D tax claim, as you say, about nearly 160,000 coming out of that. That's a thing that we apply for annually, and it varies depending on the amount of work we've done in research and development in the previous years. So that the amounts vary, but this was in the range of what we expected to get. And the balance of the money has been made up from a contribution from our chair, who has taken a private placement in the company, around about a couple of £100,000, and also some outstanding share equity, which all of the board, the management team and board, have been doing a salary sacrifice scheme for 20% of our salary for the last few months. And periodically, when we have an open period, periodically we register those shares and that value against the company. And so there's 30,000 net come in from that into the coffers of the company to help fund the ongoing work.
So if we're right in our assessment, it's around £370,000 coming into the company. How are you going to spend it?
There's always a million ways to spend money like this, but we're pretty fiscally disciplined with where we allocate the cash. We had hoped by this stage to have been able to get some value back from an investment in Elephant Oil, a legacy investment under Stratex International. Elephant Oil have not yet listed. It's been on the cards now for a number of months. And so part of this incoming fund will effectively bridge the gap that we expected to get some cash to come in from the Elephant Oil share sales. But as with all of our incoming funds these days, it's 100% focused on Cameroon. We have a couple of months or 6 to 8 weeks really as we head towards the beginning of the wet season. And we would obviously like to get as much done as possible before our field teams have to be pulled out. So this money will really just help us close off any outstanding work out in Cameroon. We have been completing quite an extensive ground mag survey and interpretation in the central license package. But while the team are out there, we want to pop them up to Bibemi and finish about a month's worth of work up there, some infill mag, and also extending some of the grids there. We have a very competent team doing the interpretation of our geophysics, and they're Australia-based, a group that I've worked with for realistically probably the last 20 years. Very, very good and very skillful in interpreting the ground mag data, specifically for structural interplays in the host rocks and the mineralized vein sets. And as we talked about at the beginning of this season, the goal was always to get all of this field work out of the way, and then during the wet season, during sort of June, July, August, or July, August, September, depending on when the rains start, prepare ourselves and put in place a series of drill targets that we can then mobilize straight onto when the dry season starts, September, October, and get straight in and be drilling straight away at both Bibemi and the CLP, depending on where our initial focus takes us.
Tim, you mentioned there the CLP, the Central License Package in Cameroon. We've talked about that previously being as big as, I don't know, Greater London, the size of the M25. Can we just focus a little bit on the eastern part of the central license package? And can you give us an update on project level funding?
Certainly. Well, we made an announcement about, I think it was about 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, saying that we'd had an approach from a Canadian group that were interested in taking a project level investment at 10% of that, for 10% of the assets there in the 5 easternmost licenses. We are progressing with that group. It really is, project level funding is something that we've always aspired towards. But as you know, with these early stage exploration targets, these greenfields targets, you have to prove a certain amount before you can start to attract project level funding. Otherwise, you either don't attract it or you massively undervalue what you've got in the ground. So we're just hitting that critical point, both at the central license package at the eastern 5 licenses and also at Bibemi, where both of these project areas are attracting attention as standalone project investments. So on the eastern CLP, the eastern central license package, we have this group that's interested in coming in for an initial 10% stake, and this would enable us to progress the next phase at the CLP, which is obviously drilling in the 3rd quarter and into the 4th quarter of this year.
Well, before we get to the 3rd quarter and the 4th quarter, I know that it's Cameroon, and it's going to be, as you said, the rainy season coming in what, I don't know, the next 6 weeks, 2 months. But let's just look at the next quarter. What's the focus going to be for Oriole over the next quarter, please?
Well, the next quarter, we've got some news coming in. We'll be expecting to get our lithium results and get those QA/QC to see whether there's any relevance to what we've been sampling. We spotted lithium anomalism. We don't know how big it is. We don't know whether it's going to be significant and become a target. But that's something we'll be focusing on as we get those results in. We'll complete the ground-based geophysics up at Bibemi, so that we're ready to do the targeting there. And we'll effectively close off the field season in the Eastern CLP. And then typically our 3rd quarter, our summer season, July, August, September, is where we pull all the previous season's data together and prepare ourselves, put some pins in the map for where we want to do the program into the 2nd half of the year.
Well, Tim, thank you very much for that update. That was Tim Livesey, Chief Exec of Oriole. As I said, Oriole, well known for being a gold explorer in Western Africa, but also, as we heard there, perhaps on the cusp of a discovery with some interesting lithium. That's it for this edition of Blythe Ray Business News. Thanks for watching.